What's up gamers, Dreamcastguy here, talking today about cheating in video games and trying to ask the question, when exactly is it wrong? Now this is a topic that sort of popped up over the course of this weekend because of a tweet by Mike Matei. This guy is a genius. He's one of the people over at Cinemassacre, and more than that, he live streams a lot of retro games, and many times he can beat them flawlessly. This guy has done like no death runs of Contra, he's beaten Battletoads. It is a guy who's very, very experienced at conquering some of the toughest games ever made. Well, this weekend, he randomly tweeted out, "Retweet if you agree. If you use the rewind feature that's now standard on many NES and SNES games available on Switch, you did not, by any stretch of the imagination, beat the goddamn game." Now, obviously, this is a pretty aggressive statement. He's telling you that if you even touch the rewind feature, you're basically a fake gamer. You didn't really finish the game, even if you killed the last boss. And it got a lot of very interesting takes on it. And I wanted to try and talk about this completely unscripted and off the cuff because I'm conflicted. First and foremost, I do feel like I disagree with the sentiment of this, mostly because video games are about fun. It's about you trying to sit down, have a blast, kind of just enjoying these nice digital arenas. The way I've always looked at gaming is, if you're having fun, nothing else matters. Are you logging into Kirby? That's great. I'm not really a Kirby fan, but I'm glad you are. Do you want to try and just play some Grand Theft Auto and blast some random hookers? Well, then you're still having fun, and that's still alright. As long as you're not cheating in online games, which is obviously evil and is obviously wrong because you're affecting other people's experiences, I don't particularly have a problem with cheat codes. And the way I've always looked at the rewind features is these are modern day cheat codes. So here's the thing, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, but I really had my major gamer years in the early 2000s. Once things started to turn over to 3D, we saw a really interesting renaissance of advancements of technology, and things like Grand Theft Auto, these were tremendously influential upon me. But I'll admit it, there were missions I could not finish in these games, even though I played them for years and years and years. These were huge. If you weren't around when these were really blowing up, pretty much everybody was playing these games all day, every day. If you went over to a dude's house, he would just be playing San Andreas for months and months and months. And typically, a lot of us would hit a deadlock. I had a lot of problems with Grand Theft Auto 3 specifically, and eventually I got to a point where I just said, screw it. I bought a cheat code magazine, and I got an infinite rocket launcher and a lot of body armor. This allowed me to not only finish the last mission, but just start to go on big crazy rampages. I was able to just say, well, screw the rules, screw society, I'm gonna blow up a bunch of trucks and see how many freaking times I can piss off the military. Did I really beat Grand Theft Auto 3? I guess, according to this distinction, I didn't. While I did manage to kill everybody and basically level an entire city one missile at a time, that, in this case, does not count. I guess that's part of the reason I disagree with this, is that I am a big proponent of accessibility. I like the idea of more people being able to finish games. So these micro consoles, I'm very, very into these micro consoles. The NES, the SNES, even the PlayStation Mini to a lesser degree. And something these have is, not only do most of them have a rewind feature, they have save states. They allow you to basically take a freeze frame in time and resume from exactly that moment. This is arguably a pretty massive cheat code because you can use it to try one jump over and over and over again. Imagine playing Mario and just being able to do one jump 1,000 times without ever losing a life. Now, that is cheating, but I consider that a good thing. And the reason I consider it good is because it's training you to be a better gamer, it's allowing you to see content you've never gotten to before, and more than that, it allows you to really just have a blast. There are people who use save states to finish games they've never been able to complete, like Castlevania Bloodlines. Here's the thing though, I do want to say that I definitely understand the people who have a problem with this. There is like this purity test of gamers occasionally where they want everybody to be as good as they are. Like there's a big debate. I'm very, very into Dark Souls. I think the Dark Souls games are spectacular. And there has been occasionally a thing that's been brought up, which is what if Dark Souls had an easy mode? What if there is an option you could toggle on that made it where every enemy had half health? Or what if it is that you had double health? And I have been against that because I feel like in the case of Dark Souls, difficulty is the experience. I feel like difficulty is the reason you pick it up. Grinding, leveling, being punished for your mistakes is a big key element of how that game works. And so if you try and remove that, you have essentially broken the experience itself. And in a way, this is how a lot of people look at retro gaming. A lot of people say that the old games were made to be hard because these kids would only buy one game a year. So if you had a really easy time, nobody would ever care. People would just beat it and move on to the next hobby. These games were built to be hard on purpose. Like if you're trying to go through the underwater dam level in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, this is so incredibly painful, 99% of gamers will never ever get past it. But with a rewind feature, you can do it in about 15 minutes. Does that break the experience? I guess that's the thing. I am kind of conflicted. I do wish that there was a more hardcore answer. I guess I lean towards the idea of being able to finish as much as possible. So I am in a unique position because I beat a lot of video games. 8 to 10 hours every single day I am able to game. I'm just sitting here in my office, like even now I'm actually playing some World of Warcraft as I film this video because I'm like in line for a dungeon. I can game all day, whatever game I want, whatever I want to do. But I realize most people can't do that. Most people, if they're trying to finish a game, are doing it after their kids are in bed or after a really long shift at Walmart. Most people are trying to game when they can. And so to them, being able to see the ending credits is a big deal. Being able to actually finish a game, even if it takes weeks and weeks and weeks, is great. If they can actually get past something because of the rewind feature, or they're able to see parts of the game that they've never seen before, that to me is a very, very amazing thing and something that I will always celebrate. I guess when it really comes down to it, I think that the idea of cheating, I wish it would come back. I feel like in the last couple of years, cheat codes have very much disappeared. The only time you really see cheat codes is in like pay-to-win games that try and sell you the better guns. There's no longer just an option of, hey, I want to have an instant rocket launcher, or hey, I want to have the best armor in the game right at the beginning. The idea of cheat codes has really kind of disintegrated, and that to me is a bad thing. Cheat codes were always an option. Cheat codes were a way for you to skip to the end of Sonic and just fight Robotnik over and over again. Learning passwords from the internet were a chance to skip around in Mega Man and maybe show your friends parts of levels that you've already finished. I feel like cheat codes were an extra layer of accessibility. Cheat codes were a way for us to play games in different ways. And the fact that they have just so completely just disappeared is a detriment. I am still saying that sometimes when you play a game and you cheat, you are only robbing yourself. A couple weekends ago, I decided to do a full speed run of Final Fantasy VII on Nintendo Switch. And something you can do on the Nintendo Switch version is you can play the game at triple speed with no random battles and instant limit breaks, which is like your special attacks. And I managed to finish the entire game in probably 12 hours. Now, obviously, I've beaten that game like 15 times, but I did it just because I wanted to see the cutscenes again. I wanted to just do a little super fast speed run. And as I was watching the last boss die, it really kind of hit me. I hope that nobody ever does that on their first run. I kind of didn't want cheat codes in Final Fantasy VII because it does make me think that there is a gamer out there who's never going to experience the thrill and fear of a big giant boss or accidentally stumbling into a rare spawn's location. There are people who are just going to breeze through Final Fantasy VII and never experience its really, really well-polished challenge. I can see both sides of the coin. I don't fully disagree with Mike Matei. The more I think about it, the more I think that he has an interesting point, even if he phrased it in a little bit of a weird way. What do you think, though? Is cheating always wrong? When do you think that there's some times where a game actually can be good or maybe even improved with a little bit of infinite ammo? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. This video was really unscripted. I apologize if I rambled a little bit. I just wanted to talk for fun. Thanks so much. I hope you guys have a great New Year's, and I'll see you in 2020. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.